Doug Bley, live in Rogers, Minnesota. Been involved in the Patriot ride really in the planning committee and as a rider for 14 of the 15 years. I
Wow.
missed the first year, but I've been on the rider and helping plan the ride for about 10 years. I'm currently the president of the board of directors for the Minnesota Patriot Guard, and previously I'd also served as the state captain as well for the Patriot Guard.
Excellent. So talk to me about how you first came to be connected with the event. What was that first year you were involved, and how did you get there and get connected?
You know, the first ride for the Patriot ride was actually done with the motorcycle club called the Red Knights, which is a firefighters association, and Bob had hooked up with them. The second year, and Bob knowing that the ride was going to grow exponentially, and the Red Knights saying we don't have enough people, got the Patriot Guard involved in helping do the organization and the execution of the ride. So really, the first year I rode on it was the second year of the ride, and the Patriot Guard had already begun to get involved. We started at the Dennis Kirk parking lot in Rush City, and then back up there again. Obviously, the ride's grown quite a bit, but really got involved in the planning committee as it began to grow. We moved it a number of different times to different locations, and my main role was helping get speakers and helping get volunteers for the ride.
Gotcha. And obviously, you're volunteering quite a bit of your time as in part of this planning and getting those speakers and doing that. Talk to me a little bit about why the ride was so important to you, and I guess what encouraged you and motivated you to put all that time into it.
Yeah, I think for me it was the commemoration of the combat heroes who we lost, who made the ultimate sacrifice. Both supporting the families, and as well as just remembering the sacrifice that was made. It was about healing for the veterans that would come and ride with us for that day. And I think it was as much, anything else. It was just an opportunity to come together, and for those, who are serving today, to say, we love you, thank you, but we're also here if we have your back if something happens, down the line, and we're here for your family.
That's great. Can you share with me if it's one, two, even three of your favorite moments or memories from the rides in years past?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, knowing this was coming, and I think a couple of them really came to mind. I remember we were riding into the Cambridge Armory, and it was a cold, wet day, as many of the Patriot rides were, and the final mile is what we call it. And for all the military heroes we lost to combat that year, we have signs along the road, and either a military member from that branch or a family member holding that sign up as we go by it. And particularly 2009 was a really rough year for Minnesota. We lost, I forget the number off the top of my head, 14, 15 military heroes we lost in 6 in 2 weeks. And as part of the Patriot Guard, we were there for every one of them. We met the airplane coming in with the transfer, the dignified transfer to the family. We were there to escort them to the funeral homes. We were there for the escorts to the cemeteries. And I remember riding down the road that day and just crying my eyes out. I had to take my glasses off because they were steaming up from the tears, but it was encapsulating the entire year. And just the memory of those missions and all the days we spent and the families we met, and just, the deep sorrow, for the loss of these young men and women. And that was one of the things that really stuck out. I remember pulling into the parking lot and getting off my motorcycle and wiping my eyes, and Jeff Good, who was one of the ride captains as well, he was the ride leader, and he and I looked at each other and just embraced, and just both of us crying and bawling our eyes out. That one really stuck out. I think another one that sticks out for me, we're at the park in Ham Lake, and there was a veteran, kind of a stereotype of a biker, long gray hair, long beard, and he's kind of standing off by himself the whole day. And was, I would actually, honestly, from a security standpoint, just kind of keeping an eye on him, making sure we know what's going on. We had a musician that day, Brian David, had written a song, and he sang it that day. It was called Welcome Home. And then I'm choking up. I remember watching him just break down. And I remember all these veterans coming to him. And I remember, the healing that day. And he needed it. And I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
But I remember that day, and I remember, I don't even know his name. I couldn't pick him out of a crowd again, if he stood in front of me. But I remember that day we made a difference, for that guy. I remember we had a speaker, a Lieutenant General Whistler from the Marine Corps, had come and spoken. He's from Minnesota, and he spoke that day, and super nice gentleman. And he was walking around the crowd and talking to everybody. And there was a table full of Marine Corps veterans from Vietnam, in-country Marine Corps veterans. And Monica Wesley had gone up to them, who was their state captain at the time, and said, "Do you guys want to meet him?" And they went, "No, we don't need to talk to no stinking officer." And he went over there anyways and sat down with them at that picnic table and had a beer with them. And they were talking, and he was, talking about his father's service in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. And turns out these guys had served under and with his father.
Oh, wow.
And what he said was, "Thank you for bringing my dad home." And I just, I'm really sorry, Jeff. I mean, I really just choke up in these things. I go back and remember what we did and what it meant, to those who had served, and to the family members, as we stand there, and they're holding each other, and you can just walk up and put your arm on them and touch them and just transfer a little bit of love and empathy and support to them. And, it really just made a difference for that. And, there's lots of glitz and bang around 5,000 motorcycles taking off and running, but it still is each one of these losses we've experienced in Minnesota. It's each one of those grave sites we've stood by. It's each one of those honorable transfers we've witnessed. There's nothing like the sound of a jet engine winding down, and it just takes a long time, and you hear the hydraulics of the door as it unlocks and lowers itself. And I remember standing at a interment ceremony at Fort Snelling National Cemetery for some Navy SEALs, and these SEALs walking up and slapping their trident on the top of the casket as they do, and you can't forget those sounds. And the Patriot ride for me always brought back that year. That was how I closed my year. Like going down that road, seeing those signs and knowing that they'll never be forgotten. And I think if you talk to a Gold Star parent or a wife or a husband who's lost somebody in war, the biggest fear they have is someone forgetting. And then if you see that big banner up at the Patriot ride of all the names from Minnesota we've lost, and we had some friends from Canada come down to the Patriot ride every year. And we put one of his brother's names up. He was lost in, I think, in Afghanistan. And we put his name on that wall, and he just sat there and watched it for like an hour. And he just couldn't believe we could remember his brother. And that, to me, is what that ride is all about. We do a lot of good things, supporting law enforcement. We're thanking our current serving military and thanking our veterans. But, each person at the Patriot ride takes out something for them and what it means to them. And for me, it's all about remembering the ultimate sacrifice and never forgetting, and making sure those family members know we're never going to forget the sacrifice that was made on our behalf of freedom.
That's great. Those are wonderful memories. Thank you for sharing those. One last question, and then I'll let you add anything else that you would like to add. But as we do embark on one last fundraising mission this year, although it will be a little different, it won't be as personal and close and big crowds, but we are gonna try to say goodbye to the ride and raise some more money this year. What would you say to encourage people to participate and donate and to and take part this year?
I think you look at the current challenges we're facing under the COVID-19 pandemic and some of the other social challenges we're facing recently. The need to do the right thing is still there. And it's important that we as citizens and as civilians and as veterans, that we can one more time take a run and say, we're here to help, we're here to do the right thing. The causes that the Patriot Guard has supported throughout the years, the MMAF, the Patriot Guard, the Tribute to the Troops group, and some of the law enforcement support groups, our needs are every bit as great as they were, and candidly, even becoming greater. And this is everyone's one last shot within the Patriot Ride structure to really do the right thing and to help do the right thing and to be proud of the thing they do. There was a lot of sadness and frustration with the initial announcement of the canceling of the ride. And I think this is that one last shot you got to do the right thing and to say I made a difference, and, to do your own Patriot Ride and to make sure everybody sees what you did and the communications that'll go out. I do a lot of personal fundraising for the Patriot Ride through corporate world. And, there's a lot of CEOs around this country who know about the Patriot Ride and have been very generous in the past and will be again. And I'm hoping we can, instill one last time to help because it's needed.
Yeah, great. So that's all the questions I had, but I do want to open it up. If there's anything else you'd like to add that you want to share, please feel free to do so. You've shared some great memories and some great information, but if I missed anything and you'd like to share something else, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I think, the Patriot Ride, on top of the fundraising, which, certainly important. But I think, to me, the Patriot Ride has just been that one day expression of, we got you. We love you. We're here to support you. And it was a great way for all these people to gather together on one day, following the passion of having a motorcycle. Even though we moved past that to some degree, I think it's just, it's your being able to get out there that day with a bunch of people and to express that support and that love and that emotion that goes with supporting our military and our troops and law enforcement. And, we're going to miss it. We'll have to find other ways to do it, and we will. But it was that one day of the year where you knew it was just going to be a really super cool day. And I think it's important that we stand on top of that, with the Patriot Ride team, and we help them, and, we let them kind of send off on their own and in their own way what this 15 years has meant. I mean, this is the planning of that ride, and I know because I was there, is 12 months a year.
Yeah.
And I think, for the Dennis Kirk team and the sponsorship side of that, to have the ability to, get one last shot to really say, hey, we love this and thank you, everybody. And I think that's kind of if we have to make some lemonade out of these lemons, it might even be a longer lasting impact by having people to do more than just show up with registration money on their motorcycle and walk around for the day. They got to do something.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like action to really, make it stick even a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.